Hi guys. So bar soap. One of the things I get asked about is can I combine bar soap? Is it healthy? Is it going to be gentle enough for my skin? So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the humble bar of soap and where it might fit within your skincare routine. So I guess first thing to say is that the humble bar of soap is undergoing something of a renaissance. And if you're thinking that bar soap is something that your grandmother would probably have used, you're right. But what we're seeing is that in a world of plastic overload, more and more people are looking at environmentally friendly alternatives with skin loving ingredients. And bar soap is one of those products that's enjoying a huge renaissance. And that's probably why I get so many questions about how I can incorporate it and is it going to be gentle enough to use on my skin. So I guess the starting point is, well, what is bar soap? What goes into it? So I make my bar soap by hand. So I combine plant oils, olive, almond, apricot with sodium hydroxide or lye. Um, I use the most simplest of ingredients, and I find that that produces a bar of soap that's natural and gentle on the skin. And that's the beauty of it. It's all about the ingredients. You'll often see reference to soap made with or by the cold process method, and that refers to how the soap is made and how the ingredients are blended together. So this is the traditional way of making soap, and it's been used forever and ever. And that's quite different to a commercially made bar of soap. You might see melt and pour soap, for example, which literally involves heating up a soap base and mixing it with, I don't know, colour and scent and glitter, etc. So making soap the traditional way, in my opinion, gives much better results. It takes longer and it costs a little bit more, but and that's what I'm going to talk about when I talk about adopting or adding a bar soap into your skin routine. So the first thing I get asked about is it okay to use with sensitive skin? And I get that at a time when sensitive skin, eczema, dermatitis are all on the increase. It makes sense to think about what you're using. And the beauty about about bar soap, certainly natural cold pressed bar soap, is that what goes into it, the ingredients are actually really, really simple. What you want to avoid is what you want to avoid is some of the sort of harsher detergents that you can get either in soap or in cleansers, and that's not going to help sensitive skin. But traditional handmade soap with plant oils actually makes for a very gentle bar of soap. So I guess if you compare the list of ingredients on a commercial bar of soap with something like this, and there are lots of beautiful artisan soap producers out there, if you compare the ingredients, you'll notice that the commercial bar will likely have a much longer list of ingredients. And that's because commercial manufacturing is all about cost and consistency, which you can't always get when you're making products by hand in artisan products. So I approach my products from the other end of the scale. So what goes into my soap, into all of my products, is my starting point. And I use the best ingredients I can, and I source and select ingredients that I would want to use on my own skin. But But, and there's always a but, isn't there? Organic oils are expensive. So manufacturers have found clever ways of reducing the levels of these more expensive ingredients. So in other words, padding them out with cheaper fillers or avoiding them. And another sort of little cost-saving trick that sometimes you see is that with a commercial bar of soap, glycerin, which is a humectant, is a natural byproduct when you make soap using the cold press method. And what you see with some commercial manufacturers is that this naturally forming glycerin, which is a really nice ingredient for the skin, is actually removed. It's stripped out to be sold as a byproduct on its own. Now, I like to leave the naturally forming glycerin in my soap in the soap, and that's why, and that's what makes for a more gentle, hydrating bar of soap. Now, it takes longer. Cold press soap needs to be cured. So once it's made, it can't be used straight away. And I rest mine for up to about 5 weeks, where water evaporates and it makes for a harder, longer lasting bar of soap. But my view is you can't hurry perfection. So that takes me on quite nicely to one of the other questions that I get asked so many times, and that's about, will natural bar soap dry out your skin? And dry skin is normally as a result of your skin losing too much sebum, which is the natural substance secreted by the glands that help keep the skin moisturized. Without that, your skin loses the ability to retain water, and the more sebum you lose, the drier your skin becomes. So often a commercial bar of soap will contain detergent or foaming agents that will strip the sebum and therefore moisture. So it is just about looking at those ingredients and seeing what's in your bar of soap or what's in your cleansing product. Can bar soap work as a facial cleanser? So again, I get asked this a lot. Now, I'm a huge advocate of cleansing with a balm. It's what I recommend for most of my ladies, and I've got a post on the site all about why that is. But I get, if you're wedded to a wash-off cleanser, then fair enough. If that's the thing, I have one word for you, and that's gentle. So no scrubbing, no harsh detergent. You want to avoid anything that's going to strip that delicate facial skin. And that's where a good bar of soap can double as a cleanser. The other thing to mention is that if you're a fan of double cleansing, I personally don't think that that's always necessary. I think it depends on how much makeup you use. It depends on where you work. It depends whether you're commuting into the city every day and you're subject to a large amount of proportion. It does depend. But if you are a fan of double cleansing, then I recommend using my carrot and mango cleansing bar, and then follow with a cleanse with my apricot and geranium cleansing bar. So that's what I'd recommend if you are a fan of double cleansing, or if you're just not a fan of balm cleansing. And I do get that everyone's different. The other thing that I think soap has got going for, and that I often talk to my customers about, is the fact that bar soap can give your shower gel a run for the money. So most shower gels are chock full of ingredients, foaming ingredients, because we all like the feel of kind of nice sort of nice bubbly foam. But for most of us, our skin becomes drier as we age, and slathering these harsher detergents onto our skin can dry it out further. It can irritate, especially if you've got sensitive skin to start with. And the thing about an organic bar of soap is that it's super convenient. There's no plastic inside. It can act as a very gentle cleanser. It can be used for sensitive skin. And as I say, what you're getting is then the benefit of those pure plant oils. I like to include almond oil in mine, shea butter, and that all helps give soap its natural moisturizing qualities alongside healing properties. It is all about the ingredients, so you need to get good at reading those labels. The other thing I think that's a real factor today is that that bar soap does have a lower environmental impact than liquid soap. And again, I've got an environmental assessment on my site, and I'll post a link to it below. So reports have found that bar soaps have a lower carbon footprint as well as lower toxicity levels, which when you think about the energy required to produce the packaging of liquid soaps alone, you can kind of see why. When we use liquid soap to wash our hands, we generally tend to use more of it compared to bar soap. And that means more liquid soap units are needed and therefore more plastic is produced. And the other real advantage and the other thing that I like to do when I'm traveling, though not many of us are traveling at the moment, is that it avoids the need to take lots of plastic bottles. And it's not subject to restrictions. You don't need to worry about carrying liquids, decanting it into bottles. It's yada, yada, yada. As I say, a bar of soap is super, super convenient. And it will always, I mean, when compared with cleansing wipes, it's always going to come out on top. One of the other things that I get asked about quite a lot is that bar soap contains lye or sodium hydroxide, and that's bad for you. And that's not quite right. So all real cold pressed soap is made with lye, and lye can be dangerous. It's a strong alkali, and if it's used incorrectly and irresponsibly, it's a really nasty ingredient. It can cause serious damage. But here's the clever bit. When making soap, I mix my plant oils with an alkali, in this case lye, and the chemical reaction that follows is called saponification. And what happens is that the fatty acids in the oil from the plant oils meet the alkali and they form a salt. So real salt is actually a salt. You try saying that too many times, which is kind of clever when you think about it. And that's why lye or sodium hydroxide is not listed as an ingredient on bar soap, because when soap is made properly, there is no sodium hydroxide or lye left in the soap. And that's also why people get confused with the ingredients on the label. So the organic olive oil that I use has an inky name of Olea Europea. And when used in soap, it becomes sodium oleate. So literally saponified olive oil or olive oil salt. In the same way, coconut oil, which is Cocos nucifera, becomes sodium cocoate, literally saponified coconut oil or coconut salt. So you can kind of see. And I had a message from one really, really upset customer that said, well, on your website, it says that what goes into your soap is shea butter and coconut butter and almond oil. And when I look at the ingredients, what I can see is saponified coconut oil or sodium cocoate. And you're being really dishonest. You know, these ingredients that you're using don't match. And that's why people get confused, because literally, when you use a plant oil as an ingredient in a soap, your apricot oil essentially becomes apricot salt. Taking olive oil again as an example, the olive oil that goes into your soap becomes sodium oleate, literally saponified olive oil or olive oil salt. So that's sometimes where that confusion arises from. So I hope that that is helpful. I mean, my view is that bar soap, good bar soap, does have a place in your beauty routine, especially if you're a fan of a foaming cleanser. And I do get that some people don't like cleansing with a balm. Handmade artisan soap is natural beauty at its simplest. Beautiful botanical oils, moisturizing glycerin, essential oils. Of course, the oils matter. So, I mean, soap can be made with tallow, using the processes made from rendered down beef or lamb. You might want to avoid that. And palm oil is another ingredient to think twice about. It's of course a forest deforestation, and it's one of the reasons why I choose not to use palm oil in my products, including my soap. I'm all about simplicity, and I think that organic bar soap is one of the easiest ways to clean up your beauty routine. It's just about how you incorporate it into your routine. Hi Serena, I can see your comment. I use the kangaroo mango for face and the bar soap for my body. Exactly, spot on. And it's down to personal preference. You know, I'm not here to tell you you must use this product, you should use this product. It's about options, and we all have to find what works for us. What I don't like is these kind of big marketing campaigns where products are kind of passed off as being really good for you and containing these lovely ingredients where the truth is not always quite that simple. I hope that's helpful. If you've got more questions, add them to the post. I generally try and do a live post once a week. So I'll look at questions that you post and try and answer them personally next time I'm live.